Hi, guys. Welcome back. Listen carefully.
The traffic was as heavy as always, but today felt a little different. Once again, I was sitting behind the wheel of my car. There was an anxiety twisting inside me, heavy and suffocating. Unlike last time, I couldn't say that my only worry was talking. No, today it was much more than that. Last week, after my first session, it felt like an emotional bomb had gone off inside me. The moment I left the office, I felt light. But as soon as I got home, the old thoughts returned, this time with even more force. My anxiety had deepened, like a wave that approaches from afar, slowly sweeping everything away. I wasn't even sleeping well. The moment my head hit the pillow, my mind filled with dark and heavy thoughts. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't rest. I don't know why, but it feels like everything got worse after the first session. My anxiety has gotten worse, and I don't know what to do. These sentences echoed in my mind as I walked up the steps to the office. Today, I was going to talk to Dr. Wilson about just that, the anxiety that, despite talking about it, still felt heavy and suffocating. The office door opened, and once again, I was greeted by Dr. Wilson's calm smile. She had the same warm smile and soothing gaze. I returned the gesture with a faint smile and walked into the room. This time I felt more familiar with the place, but the same anxiety lingered inside me. I sat in the usual chair and looked down at my hands. Dr. Wilson sat behind his desk, but this time he placed his hands on his knees and looked directly at me.
How are you? How's today going?
I took a deep breath. Honestly, not too well. My anxiety has gotten worse, even after the first session.
That's completely normal. When you start confronting deeper emotions, your anxiety might temporarily increase. Your mind is just beginning to process things that you've been suppressing for years.
I smiled faintly. Her words were calming, but I still felt the weight inside me. A silence filled the room, and Dr. Wilson gave me time to gather my thoughts. After a few moments, I began to speak. Honestly, I feel like everything is spiraling out of control. Not just at work, but in my personal life too. It's like there's something inside me that constantly makes me anxious. I check things over and over from the smallest to the biggest. And even though I know it's not logical, I can't stop myself.
The type of anxiety you're describing is very common. Some people call it generalized anxiety. Actually, our brains are wired to stay alert for survival. But when that alert system is constantly active, it gradually turns into stress and anxiety. This checking behavior you mentioned, it seems to be part of your anxiety. Let's focus on that. How does the anxiety start exactly?
I closed my eyes and thought about the moments when the anxiety surged inside me. It always starts with a small thought, like, I think I've forgotten something or made a mistake. Then that thought starts to grow, and suddenly, I can't escape it. It's like the more I try to get away from it, the more entangled I become. Dr. Wilson listened and took notes.
That's exactly the kind of thinking pattern that fuels anxiety. It's called the anxiety cycle. A negative thought arises, and you start focusing on it, eventually letting it grow until you feel like you've lost control.
Hearing his explanation helped me understand a bit better why this anxiety had seeped so deeply into my life.
Okay, today I want to teach you a simple technique that can help you in those moments. It's called grounding. When you feel those anxious thoughts creeping in, This exercise can help bring your mind back to the present moment.
How does it work?
It's quite simple. Whenever you feel the anxiety starting, the first thing you should do is pay attention to your surroundings. Name 5 things you can see, then 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste.
I smiled. It sounded simple, maybe even a bit childish, but it made sense. When I was anxious, my mind would race into the future, imagining all the worst-case scenarios. But this technique would bring me back to the present. Sounds good. I'd like to try it.
Let's try it right now. Close your eyes and focus on your surroundings.
I closed my eyes and listened to his calming voice.
In your mind, name 5 things you can see.
I looked around mentally and thought, the pictures on the wall, the coffee mug on the desk, the sunlight coming through the window.
Now, 4 things you can touch.
I ran my hand along the chair and felt its surface. The soft fabric of the chair, my own hands, the cool edge of the table. We continued the exercise, and after a few minutes, I was surprised to feel my anxiety significantly lessen. My mind wasn't fixated on dark and heavy thoughts anymore. I was present in the moment. The session was nearing its end, and now I felt lighter. Dr. Wilson gave me his usual warm smile and said,
This technique is just one of the tools that can help you. But what's important is that with practice, you can start applying these skills in your daily life.
I nodded and felt a glimmer of hope for the journey ahead.
New vocabulary and phrases.
My head hit the pillow.
The phrase "my head hit the pillow" is an idiomatic expression that usually means someone is so tired that they fall asleep almost immediately upon lying down. It conveys the idea of being exhausted and ready for rest. Example, after a long day at work, the moment my head hit the pillow, I fell asleep instantly.
Soothing gaze.
A soothing gaze refers to a look or expression from someone that brings comfort, calm, or reassurance. It's the kind of gentle, caring eye contact that can make someone feel safe or at ease. This can happen when someone looks at you with kindness, understanding, or empathy. Example, when I was feeling anxious, her soothing gaze helped me relax, and I knew everything would be okay.
How's today going?
The meaning of the phrase, "How's today going?" in English is asking someone how their day has been or how things are going for them today.
I still felt the weight inside me.
The phrase "I still felt the weight inside me" conveys a sense of lingering emotional burden or heaviness that someone is experiencing. It suggests that despite any attempts to lighten or resolve their feelings, there remains an ongoing struggle or distress within. Example, even after talking to my friend about my problems, I still felt the weight inside me, as if the issues were too heavy to fully let go.
To get away from something.
The phrase "to get away from it" means to escape or distance oneself from a situation, feeling, or environment that is stressful, overwhelming, or undesirable. It often implies a desire for relief or a break from something burdensome. Example, after a tough week at work, I just needed to get away from it all and spend a weekend in nature.
It felt like an emotional bomb had gone off inside me.
The phrase "it felt like an emotional bomb had gone off inside me" conveys the intense experience of being overwhelmed by powerful emotions. It suggests that feelings such as anger, sadness, or anxiety have suddenly and explosively surfaced, creating a sense of chaos or turmoil within. Example: after receiving the unexpected news, it felt like an emotional bomb had gone off inside me, and I didn't know how to process everything all at once.
Thank you for being with us until the end. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel and answer the question in the comments.